ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Thank you for joining me tonight on what is, I guess you could say, it's not technically the last Open Mic Wednesday or Open Mic show. That was the last one. So I am officially ending the Open Mic shows. And before I bring on my guest co-host, I just wanted to take a minute or two to say this to you guys. Now, I enjoy doing those shows, but I'm finding that the reason I want to do them is to help people out. It's not any help. It's not any service to anybody to promote their projects when I'm finding time and time again, the vast majority of the guests that come on the show are not ready yet. They're not ready yet. And what I mean by that is that they still have to learn, in most cases, the basics, let alone master them. So I'm going to be turning it over then instead to doing the feedback forum, where hopefully this can help people out. If you actually view it in a certain way, you could actually come on the show and still promote. You get more time to promote too. But in the essence of keeping with the show, you'd be looking to get feedback, advice, critique, etc. on a project or something that you're doing that's comic related. I'm just finding that there's no help to anybody if I'm promoting people or helping to promote people who are just not ready yet. It doesn't mean that they won't be ready ever. It doesn't mean that they didn't have something interesting. It doesn't mean that everyone was like that. I'm just finding that there's too many people who, it's similar to actually how I feel as a publisher when I get submissions a lot of the time. There's people that are so excited about getting something out there, they're rushing into it. They're not taking the time to learn, to really hone their craft, to make sure that they're just learning as much as they can, not just about how to promote a comic, but how to make a comic. And be really in love with your story. Know it frontwards, backwards, know it as good as the back of your hand. Because if you just don't feel that way about it, what's going to happen is that you're going to put out this project, and then you're going to get a lot of people that are resentful because they don't raise what they wanted to raise or whatever it is. And I see a lot of people out there that when that happens, they turn around and they blame customers or whatever sometime, or someone that didn't platform them to promote all these various things, instead of looking inward and saying, I just rushed it. That's all it was. It wasn't time yet. I've been there. Everybody's been there. But that's honestly what it is. So this show is going to be to help people out, help creators out, which is what I wanted the open mic shows to be. So I hope that we do get people on here to do that. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest co-host tonight, Statistical Zero.
It's not the last goodbye, it's the first hello.
Exactly. And this is still an open mic format type show. It's just the point of it is not specifically promotion of projects. I know some people are going to miss that kind of a thing, but like I said, I don't feel that it's doing a service at the end of the day to anybody. To kind of push people out there and say, hey, here's your 3 minutes of fame, dance. And they're just like, I'm not ready to really go, even though they might think that they are. It's not good. So I want to make sure I'm doing this, which is why I wanted to do it, was to help creators out. And I think that this would be the best way to do it. Sure. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I like the idea of learning to walk before you run. I know it's really exciting to look at somebody else's book and think I could do that just as good or better, and then when you put pen to paper, it's hard to figure out where to start. So it's probably for the best to and there are some people that make it look really easy when they come on and they just bang bang bang,
yeah.
And then you get there and you're thinking I could totally do that, and then hey, sometimes nerves kick in. You got to learn how to talk online so you can sell your book.
Yeah, because that's what I find too, is that even though the show has been on for a while, I'll get repeat people coming on, which is fine. It's great. I encourage that. Mm-hmm. But I find that they're not progressing. There's nothing that's being changed up. It'll be the same kind of a pitch. Or they'll rush right to the campaign, let's say to sell perks as opposed to talk about a character or their story. Oftentimes I'm having to stop people mid promo and give them more time because I didn't even learn anything about their comic, and I know that someone watching the show is really not learning anything as well either.
I wonder if they think they're giving away spoilers.
Yeah. So instead, what happens is that people go in there for the first time. They're not prepared. They don't necessarily know how to pitch their comic or talk about it. This might even be the first show they've ever done.
Right.
And they go in there, they're nervous as all hell. They got 3 minutes or so on the clock, and then it's like, oh Lord, what do I do? And I don't, yeah, and I don't want to put people necessarily through that and give everyone the first impression of this person comes on and they're this unprepared mess.
Sure.
So to me, I don't like the fact that that's kind of where the show is heading, and that's not meant to be where the show is heading. It's meant to help people. It's not meant to put people on the spot, or make them feel like, even though this is just a small amount of time and they can pop in and pop out, and it's maybe their first show that they've ever done, that this is the first impression that you want to leave on anyone, including anybody who watches the show that's a potential backer, a potential reader. And then when I get into some of the projects or some of the pitches and things like that, and I find that, wow, these guys aren't ready yet, I find that the point of this show, which is to help people, it's actually doing the opposite. So I want to make sure that we are helping people, and this is a show that could do that. So hopefully people understand that with the feedback forum. It's all love here. You get feedback from me. You get feedback from the chat. If I have a co-host like I do today, you get feedback from them as well. And you don't have to necessarily take any of that feedback, but it's to your benefit to listen to all different kinds of vantage points. This way you can collect that and go, okay, does any of that stuff make sense? Am I looking at this and saying, oh, now that clicks with me, or oh, now that I really can't do? So it's good to get those different opinions.
At least you can suss out what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
100%. Because there's no reason that someone needs to come in here and any kind of advice or feedback they're given, they should take 100%. I don't expect that at all. But I do expect a conversation to occur and for them to at least hear me out. Otherwise, I don't want to say it this bluntly, but don't come on the show if you're not actually looking for feedback or advice. If you're coming on here and it's just to kind of shill and promote your project, I'm going to sniff that out real quick and I'm going to call you on it. So make sure that you actually are on here to learn something, have a conversation about your project, get feedback, get advice, get a critique maybe, that kind of stuff. Yeah, get excited about your work, and then hopefully it'll make you stronger and you'll have more success for it. Let's see, we got a couple people here in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. So yeah, it's not like there's anything, it's not a big controversial ending to the open mic promo shows. It's more about me wanting to make sure that I'm doing this for the right reason, which is the reason I wanted to do it from the start, which was to help people out. Like I said, I noticed when I'm a publisher and I'm getting in submissions, one of the biggest things with the submissions, I can tell that this is someone who's doing something for the first time, and sometimes they'll flat out say so. They'll leave in the comments, this is the first time I've ever made a comic, or this is the first time I've ever drawn. Not even drawn a comic, but ever drawn. And it shows. It really shows. Think about everybody. Think about the first time you've ever drawn something and what that looked like. And those are the kinds of submissions I'm getting where you literally could look at that and go, oh, that's sweet. Did a kid send this in to you? That's what I'm talking about. And I don't mean to belittle anybody, but at the same time, it's startling to me that someone would look at that and say, I'm ready to go do this job right now and the task at hand, and I should have a publisher publish this, and I should have people pay for it. Would you pay for that? Would you pay for, not use Stato, but the person making it, who's drawn it for the very first time? Would you pay for someone's work who's drawn something for the very first time? It's completely not professional on any level whatsoever. And you expect someone to sit there, pay for it, read it, etc. That's so strange to me. So that shows me a lot about people are rushing. People are just kind of throwing whatever against the wall and saying, well, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. Sometimes what the worst thing that can happen is you make such an awful first impression, giving off this kind of arrogant air.
So It's My Style doesn't work in that situation.
Yeah, it's not like one of these. It's artistic choice. I'm just expressing myself here. You just don't get it.
German expressionism, man.
Way past that. It's way past that. Again, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing your reader any favors. You're not doing the publisher any favors.
Sure.
But you're really, really not doing yourself any favors when you start rushing into that stuff. Take your time. There's so much fun and so much stuff to learn with making a comic. If you're not prepared whatsoever, that's the worst thing you could do, is to jump into it and go start submitting it to publishers and whatever else. Put it out there, share it with people, learn, get critiques, get advice, watch videos and tutorials, read some books, and try to analyze things. So many things you got to do. Publishing and all that, the business side of it, that shouldn't even be on your mind yet.
Yeah.
Let's see, Jefferson says, sounds very charitable to the new creators. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people out. So that's the point of this show. That was the point of the open mic show as well. But like I said, I'm not finding that I'm helping anybody out if I'm kind of pushing the unprepared into the spotlight. Dark Animal March Hare, what's up? Haven't seen you in a bit. Hope you're doing good. Blue Terry Narrations here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. So something I wanted to get into with you before we do get somebody on here joining us. Goodness gracious, I want to just have everybody highlighted.
Hello,
here
everybody.
In the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. They're all here for you. That's what it is. Oh, yeah. Yeah. When I announced you as a co-host, that's when everybody paid attention.
No. They're here for you. I'm here for you. We're all here for you.
I don't know about that. I'm here to see people's projects, so I hope people do come on here and want to share some stuff with us. I love talking about your projects and seeing where you're at. Joe Frago.
Good cop.
Yeah, we'll try to do good cop, exactly. Joe Frago, thank you for the $10 super chat. Holy smokes, says just do what's fun and productive and what the chat reacts well to. Exactly, not just, and that's not just good advice for anybody that comes on the show or is making a comic. That's also good advice for me too. So thank you, Joe Frago. Jay Lee is here too. What's up? We got so many people here. Kami Mark says 3 minutes is a very long time. That's what I tell my wife. Oh, Kami Mark. The thing is, what's funny is I find that the 3 minutes, it truly is a really long time. When you're on the air, some people don't realize that. Yeah, but if you just sit there and you just are in silence for 3 minutes, that's an eternity. So make the most out of those 3 minutes.
You gotta have that pitch locked down where there's no awkward dead time in the 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I've discussed it before where you want to make sure with any solid pitch, and then you can refine from there. You want to talk about the characters, the conflict, and the setting, period. Because you get people familiar with who's in the story, what's going on within the story, and then you get people familiar with where and when is the story taking place. Something like that with setting, and these are so very basic things. It's another kind of riff on the who, what, where, when, why kind of thing. But these are such basic, tried and true things that stand the test of time for a reason. When someone comes into pitching on open mic, on the open mic shows or whenever, even I see this a lot online, just on Twitter or whatever, when someone's pitching their book, and they go, it's like this pre-existing property meets this pre-existing property.
Yeah. Like a movie pitch.
Don't do that. That's horrible. You're underselling your story. And then you're also, I said this before, you're also kind of pushing away an audience that you don't realize. So when you're doing that, what you're really thinking is people like this thing. My thing kind of resembles these two things. So if I say this, it's a nice, short, easy way to say that they would like it. But what happens is instead is that there's people out there that might have liked your story, but instead you didn't talk about your story. You talked about these two other things, maybe one or both they don't like, and now they're going, I don't think I'm going to like this at all.
Or when maybe go read that then.
Yeah, when maybe instead, if you just talked about your story, they would have said, "Oh, okay," and just judged it on its own merits. So don't say it's like this and this or this and the other thing, and you mix them together and you get my story, because also that makes you look like you're ripping things off too. You're doing a complete disservice to the hard work and the creativity you've put into your own story by saying it's just like all these other things. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I've mentioned it several times, so it's one of those things. But yet again, I always get people coming on the open mic shows, and then they'll do things like that, and I'll try to be like, "Oh, don't do that. Talk about your story."
Is that in like a submission fac?
It may be. If it's not, I got to put it up there. But it may be. Sci-Fi for Me TV says, Pete, what are your thoughts about selling directly through a website instead of Indiegogo or Kickstarter? Do you have to ask me that, Sci-Fi? Have you not went to alternacomics.com, my friend? We sell direct all the time. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying that, that over the other things, but that's a great way to do it. Everybody should have some place to get everything after the fact, or if you want to bypass those things completely, beware of the fact that if you do bypass those things, you're going to have to ramp up your promotional efforts. You're going to have a newsletter first and foremost.
Yeah.
You're really going to have to do a lot of things that you might not have thought about when going into like an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter or whatever, where you say those words of crowdfunding, it already builds some kind of a buzz. Now, you say that you're selling something on your website, it's like, yeah, you and a billion other people, you know? So even though it seems like there's a lot of people making crowdfunders nowadays, there's still more of a sense of urgency behind that. To me, I would always just say, just do both. Just even if you just want to limit your goals, limit yourself to just the book, let's say, you don't want to take advantage and monopolize upon that time and put extra things on there. All right. But if you're just going to put your book on your site or whatever it may be, why not just put a $500 goal, plaster it up on a crowdfunder, and then call it a day, and promote that. And then afterwards, put it to your website. What are your thoughts on that, Stato?
Well, considering how many times we've had just over the internet, like this site screwed me over or something like that, it's absolutely, I think, a great thing to have like a place for yourself that they can't really shut down. I mean, that's just kind of like your plan B, C, and D if if something goes wrong with Kickstarter or your Indiegogo, or if your marketing isn't quite where it should be and nobody really sees it, then you'll always have the website to go back to. So I think that's solid.
Yeah, I think you should always have your home base. You should always have your headquarters. Everything funnels back to that. So I think you definitely should have a website all the time. You should have a site store if possible, even if it's not on the site itself and it's just a redirect to wherever. Etsy, the millions of different Store Envy, whatever it is you want to do. Big Cartel, I don't know. There's a million ways to do it. And you should at least always have that available as an option.
Something that doesn't have an algorithm that'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Something that you can just say, okay, here it is. But at the same time, if you don't want to use crowdfunding, I'd be more curious as to why you wouldn't want to do crowdfunding and then also have it available on your site, because it does build a buzz. It does build a sense of urgency that's there.
But that's where getting to being able to talk gets into it, because if you're not going to push your book, you got to be able to talk and be likable for people to go, hey, you know what? I like that guy. I want to support him. Where's his book? Or what's he selling, kind of thing. Like, you got to be able to get out of your shell and talk some.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. And that's the thing. It kind of puts you in promotion mode. So it really depends upon how much you want to get worked up about it. Because if you can put yourself in promotion mode in the same kind of way, you don't necessarily need to have the crowdfunder. But I do think that there is truth to the fact that crowdfunder or not, people do enjoy seeing publicly the bar go up. The amount of people supporting something. They enjoy the transparency of that. Yeah. 100%.
Being part of something bigger.
Absolutely. NTM Comics, Noah says, Open Mic Monday gave me an opportunity to improve my pitching abilities, and the show being on almost every week helped me to get used to being on shows. Thanks for doing the show. Well, thank you, Noah. I'm glad you got something out of it. And honestly, and I'm not saying this to put anybody down, but you were one of the rare instances of I saw show-to-show growth in terms of, someone redefining and learning from what they made mistakes on, or kind of improving upon something for the next go around and all that different stuff. There were several people that I noticed it was almost like the same exact thing, like spot to spot, no matter what. And then sometimes people would come on like months later and still do the exact same thing that I've already talked about multiple times at that point, where I'm like, you got to mix it up. You got to do something a little different. You got to make sure you're getting people information here, not just come on here to be like, buy this, buy this, buy this, and then, okay, right. Bye, see ya. So then that also told me that people weren't actually watching the shows either to see what other people were doing, which I thought was a really good aspect of that show, is to to not just see how you were making mistakes, but to see what other people were doing and go, oh, I liked that, or oh, I didn't really like that, and learn from different things and kind of make them some of your own. So when I would see that people weren't really doing that too, it was a little discouraging to see that people weren't really necessarily learning on that either. And I didn't want anybody in the chat also feeling like this show was 100% such a shill show that there was nothing useful to be learned from it. There was no information that there was going to be. And it was literally just, an hour or so of just buy everyone's crap that you see on here. And I didn't want it to be like that. Yeah. Again, that's not a good thing for anybody involved.
Right.
So this kind of a show is going to be more of to me, I think, will be more of a helpful thing for creators who want to learn, want to succeed, want to make not just a comic, but maybe even a career out of making comics. This show will be more tailored for that. We've had a bunch of other feedback forms before. Exactly. Yeah. And not just to improve upon whatever, but the more you improve upon your skill set in something like this, the more fun you have.
Yeah. Starting up's always tough.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do hope, like I said, that we do get people on here tonight. We'll be on for about an hour or so. And I hope we do get some people on tonight. After I see questions in the chat, I'll pose a question to Stato. I want to ask him. Let's see. Jaded One says, going to be doing the feedback show every week. Yes, I'll be doing it every week. And it won't just be a Wednesday night. Sometimes I'll do it a different night. But we'll be doing a feedback show at least once every week. Let's see here. Unless there's a straight up emergency. Amanda says, wait, what? It's a sad day. No, it's not a sad day. It's actually a pretty good day.
Just a couple clouds. They're nice clouds, though.
Yeah. Like you said, what was that? You said it's not a goodbye, it's a hello?
It's not the last goodbye, it's the first hello.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Exactly. That's what it is. See, Vault says, going to Miss Open Mic, it really helped me the first time I got my pitch out. With time to spare was a personal achievement. Oh, that's good. I'm glad that you got something out of it. And I hope you come on this show, too, and share your project with me and the chat. Let's see. B.A. Turner says, I had a blast with my kiddo on your show. Only person to give me a chance to promote so far. I'll always give people a chance to promote. Like I said, even though it won't be an open mic promo show, this is still an open mic show. So if you guys still want to pop in, talk about your project, get some advice or tips or whatever it may be, just want to share your work and say, hey, Pete, what do you think of this? Does this look good? I'm more than happy to do that. So, yeah. Randy says, but where will we go to make fun of Rob Geronimo now? Well, he has his own channel. So you can go over there and bust Geronimo's chops as much as you'd like. But I'm sure that Rob will sleep better knowing that the 3 minutes of Timey Tim won't keep him up at night anymore. Let's see. Ben Soto says, question. I'm working on a 5-issue miniseries at the moment. What's the best way to release and fund it? Would one big release crowdfunder be better than a single issue release crowdfunder? What do you think, Stato?
I'd say yes, because I mean, if you've got 5 different issues, you're looking at 5 different times you ship, and if it's just the one magazine 5 different times to a ton of people, that shipping's going to add up, and possibly whatever taxes and stuff. So also giving them multiple issues is going to add to that value, because 64 pages is like the standard now. So you'd be charging probably like the $25, what do you call it, standard. So I'd say ship them all at once, personally.
Yeah. As long as your logistics, your numbers work out, I think that looks like to be about $25 to $30 for a 5-issue mini. As opposed to if you put together those 5 issues into a graphic novel or whatever. But yeah, as long as logistically it works out for your production in terms of whatever it takes to make those books, go for it. But no matter what, I encourage this. Some people don't, but I encourage this. When you're starting off, until you actually have a solid base of readers and you've been doing this for a while in terms of not just creating, but also making and fulfilling crowdfunders, always ask for what you need. Don't do the thing where you put $500 there because you want to hit your goal and be like, woohoo, hit my goal, everyone. Yeah. Because if you need like $8,000 and you hit your $500 goal,
Right.
and you think like, woohoo, you know, like let's throw the streamers up, we did it, you know, and you think like for sure, like we'll ride out the rest of that. Maybe you'll make 2 or 3,000, and you're like, oh, I needed 8 though.
Right. That's
So
a gamble for the algorithm. That's
yeah,
not.
it's better for you to fail. It's better for you to come short, fail, and do a fixed funding goal. You need the 8 grand, whatever it is, you know,
Yep.
or maybe you want to put in 2 or 3 or whatever, and you chop it down. It's up to you. But whatever you need, make sure you put that as the goal.
Yep.
Some people out there, they'll do the whole, you know, $500, 1,000, you know, short themselves to kind of reach that goal quickly, and then they'll notice that's it, plateaus or it just nosedives, and there's nothing else left. And then they're stuck and they're going, well, how do I make this? I needed
And
way more than this. I thought it
Printing's
would have.
expensive.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. Don't be afraid about not reaching that goal. Ask for what you need, and just that's it. Detail why
Yep.
you need it, and that's it, and move forward with it. The more transparency that you give to the backer, that's the funny part. The more transparency you give to them, the more you earn their confidence and their trust, because
Oh,
they
yeah.
go, oh, okay, you've done your homework, you're aware of what things cost. But if you go in there and like when I see a project from a first timer that's like a $500 goal, I go, I don't care, I'm not backing that.
Yep.
Because it tells me many, many different things about this, and that this project might never actually get done. And it tells me that this person is either kind of almost like lying to me about why they need the funds, because like King Crypt is 15 grand. I needed 15 grand. The alternate campaigns I mentioned before, we used to have them at like a cheeky 2022 kind of thing for the project, but then I thought, you know what, this is making people think that this is what it costs to print
Right.
5 or 6 or 10 comics. I don't want them thinking that. So then we put them to 10 grand for the goal. So it's that kind of thing of, you know, and I would consider myself established at this point in terms of doing this for 16 years and having about 30 different crowdfunders that I've helped out or have run. And I'm still going, I want to put the goal there for what I need.
Yep.
Do that. Just be honest with your backers about that. Don't play games with that stuff. And not saying that you would, Ben. DC Miller says, has anyone run a successful crowdfund from outside the USA? I'm
Sure.
interested in starting a campaign, but shipping where I am would be a major detractor. Yeah, there's definitely been people. There's been people in Canada, people in the UK, people
Yep.
in Australia.
Yep.
I think we've got Michael Bancroft in the chat. Yeah, definitely. So if you've got specific questions on that, DC, don't be afraid to pop into the show and ask him. Better to answer those in a conversational format. But yeah, I mean, there's been Charlie's London. There's been
Yep.
a whole bunch of people. Yeah, it's definitely possible. Again, work out your logistics. You know, shipping might be what it is, but at the same time, put that out there and put your book out there, and hopefully it's good and people are into it and they go, oh, okay, the shipping, I get it, I understand. I'll still help and back this campaign. And if not, then it's not meant to be for the time being.
Best
Not
to keep-
forever, but for the time being.
Best to keep like the exchange rate in your peripherals too, because a dollar and, you know, like say a pound or something else, not the same thing. It's gonna come up way different when you're setting
Yep.
your goal.
Exactly. Yeah, do your due diligence on that stuff. Work out the logistics as much as you can. Try to get as many of the numbers as you possibly can, and then kind of extrapolate from there and build your campaign. Almost reverse engineer.
Look into stamps.com.
Yeah, look into everything you can do. Do all
Yep.
of your research first. Don't do it after. Don't let go. I guess I need
Right.
$4,000 to make this, and you do that, and then you're like, oh wait, I totally didn't do any of the research. I actually needed like 8 to 9. And that's when you get the majority of campaigns that when they reach that hurdle, if they don't have that 4 to 5 or whatever it is, extra $1,000 that they needed, they go, well, I'm never making that. See ya. And we don't want people doing that. You know, I don't
No.
want people doing that just to the backers. I don't want them doing that to themselves. I don't want any of that kind of stuff happening. I don't want to back a project where that happens.
Right.
You know, so do all your research, as much of it as possible first, and ask as many questions as it takes. You know, so, you know, you're already on the right track asking questions. So again, if you want to ask any questions while you're on the show here, please feel free, join.
All the big people were in your shoes the first time they did it too. There were quite a few of the bigger guys that like made big mistakes because they had no clue what they were doing the first time out. So you're in good company.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Sequential Geek says, "Is there an ETA for next set of Voidwalker books?" Not as far as I know. Not as far as I know. You have to talk to Spencer Desmond about that. Alternus creator owned. Always keep that in mind. My schedule is based on their schedule, and they let me know what their schedule is. So I don't even know, honestly, if a next set of books is happening. So I hope it is, but contact Spencer Desmond and turn the screws a bit. Say, Spencer, where's the books? Where's the books? Make some more books, because they don't listen to me. They listen to you guys. Me, they go, oh, he's just busting our butts again. But you guys, they listen to. So reach out to them. If you're a reader of those books, you want to see more of them, let those creators know.
Do you ever think as a creator, you'd get to a time when like an instant letters page would happen?
Yeah, right? This is essentially what it is. It's amazing. Yep. Dr. Ben says, so is this the right time or place to talk up the Kickstarter that I'm part of that only has a few days left? This is not a promotional show. If you've got a question that you want to feedback or advice on, please feel free to join. So you could promote in a different way, but this isn't a shill show where you come on and you're like, let's just talk up my stuff and sell my stuff. Give me something to talk about in terms of your project, and let me see if you want to pop in and discuss that. Yeah. Otherwise, there's plenty of places to do that. And I also encourage people, have your own platforms too. If you're someone who likes to talk and you're comfortable with it and you want to talk about your own stuff, don't sit around and wait for someone else to invite you. Make your own platform and start talking about your project, what's on your mind, whatever it is, the creative process you have, your book, your characters, etc. That's literally how every single person you've ever seen that has a large platform, that's literally all they ever did.
Yep.
So they all start at zero,
And I'm sure they all look at the earlier videos and go, ew, holy cow.
Oh, yeah. Don't look at my early videos, ladies and gentlemen. But if you do want to learn, look through them. It's an interesting experience to see the earliest videos. Everybody's so uncertain and everyone's so like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is so strange. Yeah. So it takes a while, Sometimes it'll take a year, 2 years, 3 years of doing stuff like this to get the swing of it. So it takes time. But never be afraid to start. That's the most important thing. And that includes your own projects, your own whatever it may be, promoting, etc. Let's see. Sequential says, did Pete cut his hair? Oh, okay. Yeah, I cut my hair about maybe almost 2-3 weeks ago. So yeah, this might be the first time you're seeing it. Kayla, let's see. Oh, that was to Buddy Lord. What's up, Buddy? Let's see here. I think that's about it. All right. Well, I'm looking to see if anybody else is in here with questions. Stato, I wanted to ask you, as far as, because you're always perpetually learning things. For you, how do you go about that process of self-editing or wanting to learn something new? Are you looking at that in terms of you just want to figure out new ways to do different things? Or are you looking at in terms of you see your past work and you're looking for ways to improve upon it? Or maybe both?
A little bit of that, all of it. I mean, it's one of those, every artist has some sort of a weird fear, like odd kind of thing. Like, what if nobody sees my work? What if, they don't like it? Mine is, I got like a fear of plateauing, you know what I mean? Just like sticking at one spot and just never moving. You'd think, oh, this is good enough. Like, it really never is good enough if you want to constantly improve. So yeah, if I get to a point where it's starting to feel like it's all the same, it's not quite clicking, I'll go seek out different books, different like YouTube's got so many different like online like people that like show you how to do stuff, or just like time lapses, or there's a million different things to look at. Or just hey, go read a book like a comic or something like that, and sometimes that'll jumpstart you. Just I want to draw that panel. I want to see if I can do it differently, or something like that. There's always something you can do to improve, and you just got to do it every day. That's the best part. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, now are there any things where you're looking at and you're identifying certain? This is the dreaded question for most artists, especially. where you get comfortable drawing certain things certain ways.
Yep.
And then is there ever like a time where it comes up and you go, I really hate drawing these kinds of things. I'm going to sit down and draw those things today.
Absolutely, all the time. Yeah, and then there will be a point where when you're drawing something and you're learning something new, or a lot of things at the same time, all of a sudden you're looking at what you did and you're saying, that doesn't look right. That looks really weird. Like, and then all of a sudden you're trying to figure it out and pin it down. You start drawing, and then you start drawing a certain way and you like that. And then you look back and everything you were drawing was completely wrong. But 2 weeks ago, it looked great. But yeah, absolutely. All the time I'm drawing whole pages full of hands, or whole pages full of Z folds or something like that, like business suits or whatever. Like,
oh yeah,
because I don't know how to do it, and I know I'm going to use it later. Curtains, things like that, background, getting into more perspective, because I never really did a whole lot of that stuff. You probably see that a lot of pitches, like where the entire comic has zero background. It exists in that white room in the Matrix. Yeah, that's something I try to avoid. But I mean, yeah,
and it's one thing when they're doing something to leave room for lettering, and they're going to have some kind of an accent color to paint the mood.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another thing when it's literally, you're looking at it and you're going, well, there should be a background here. It would help with
or at
the
least
scene.
like a sink.
Yeah, something, right? And there's nothing at all. And that doesn't just happen a couple of times, but that happens quite often within a comic. There's a lot of the mainstream kind of comics that do stuff like that it boggles, I think, most of our minds, especially growing up in an era of comics. You're talking like maybe even 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, where if anything, especially in the 90s, sometimes it felt like, whoa, guys, too much. Too much on this page right now.
Yeah.
And now we have this unbelievably minimalist kind of approach where it feels like, was this page done? Are you sure this page is done?
And I think it's helpful to start in a cartoony fashion, in a cartoony way that you don't have to be exactly on. You can have your arms a little bit longer, whatever. That way, when you start to get into the like more realistic basics, it's a little easier because you've kind of trained yourself in a weird way to do proportions correctly. So I mean, if you just start with stick figures, just so you can figure out how long the legs got to be, and then it starts to look right. And there's so many different ways to start. It's not like those books we all had as kids where it was like you draw a circle and then here's a line for the spine, and then fill in the details. Look at that, you drew Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, those books as a kid infuriated me. It's like, you draw 3 circles and then you put the lines through. You do a little bit of piping.
Yep.
And then the horse is done. The fourth one. It's like,
I think those books turned more kids off to drawing than absolutely anything else.
It turned kids onto tracing, is what that ended up turning them onto, because then they're like, whatever, I'm just tracing this last one and I'm going to say, hey, look what I did.
And then a whole bunch of inkers were born.
Let's see. Kayla says, I think it's important to be open to learn. It's important to be open to learn critiques. Knowledge is the truest power we all have. It's amazing to have the opportunity to learn something new. It allows for growth. I agree. Absolutely.
Especially when somebody takes time to like earnestly look at it and tell you what they think. Sometimes some people are like Neil Adams blunt, and it's like it's cold water in the face. And sometimes you get like the sandwich method where like, yeah, this is really cool, but you need to do this. But otherwise, this looks pretty good.
The compliment sandwich. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
But, that's absolutely, you got to be ready to be told your work sucks right now. It's, nothing wrong with being a little undercooked. You just got to go back and, do another page full of hands.
Yeah,
get it.
Totally. All right, let's see. We have somebody that joined us right now. Ooh. He's got Dr. Ben. What's up, Dr. Ben?
Hey.
Oh, hey. All right. Well, shit, I'm on. Okay. All right. Well, I thought it was funny, like, because I didn't want to like jump in and just do like the shill stuff, and all the stuff you said was making sense, and it was funny because you said like you wouldn't back something that was like $500, and that was the kicks, or no, actually I think it's $900. But anyways, what I'm saying, it was like a low amount, but. I think the question I had from what you were talking about earlier was, how do you know when you're at a level where you have enough like base readers, because it feels like right now, it feels like all the readers, people that they give me the thumbs up on my different sites are all the other comic guys that I know. So, you know what I mean? Like, so it feels like I worry that it's like that incestuous, like everyone's just, like, well, I back your project, and
Did your project hit its goal?
It's like I'm just like the artist on it, or one of the artists.
There's no such thing as just. Take just out of your vocabulary.
Right on.
Like people that are like, I'm just a writer, I'm just a reader, I'm just this. No. Take the just out. Sure. So how long has the campaign been up?
I think it's like 30 days.
Okay, the campaign's been up for 30 days?
Or no, it's like a 30-day campaign, and then it has like 4 days left.
Okay, so it's been up for 26 days, and it's hit its goal?
I think it's like about $150 off.
Okay, so you said it's a $900 goal, so it's at $750 right now, around there?
Right.
Okay, so once you hit your goal on what you need, so let's say, is the campaign set at a goal of what you guys absolutely need? Or is it set at kind of a cushy goal that you were like, we'll just put in the rest if we need, or we'll think that it'll hit it and then take off?
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know. See, that's the other aspect, is that like, it's not like I didn't make the campaign, like he started it and I was like, oh shit, he's got a campaign going. Okay.
Yeah, that's bad too. See, the communication part.
Surprise.
Yeah, right. It's got to be there. And I've seen that happen. I've experienced that. I've experienced that even relatively recently, where someone will be like, yeah, the campaign's just launched. And I'm just like, communication, that helps.
Right.
That ensures your success is the communication involved with the people that are supposed to put you in a position to succeed. If you don't communicate with those people, don't be surprised when success never happens. That includes your collaborators, that includes your backers, potential or otherwise. If communication is not there, and success isn't there, don't be surprised. But oftentimes people are. So it's like a Field of Dreams thing. Well, we built it. Everybody should be there. And that's just a crock of shit. That's not real. So when it comes to this, okay, so you're 750. So you asked, how do you know when to actually... You've got a good, strong readership for your thing.
Right.
You'll know that on a crowdfunder if you've reached your goal day one on what you need.
Right, obviously.
So then you can go, I got the people who are here for this. And you've done, and not just meaning that you set it up and then they came, but you did all the work necessary leading up to it, the promotion, talking about the characters, talking about the story, showing pages, showing the cover, showing the different perks for maybe I'd say 2 to 3 months building up to the launch. There's so much promotion to do before the launch. The worst thing, and so many crowdfunders do this, and just projects in general, and this is part of the reason why I was sick to death with the comic industry and the distribution system, is that so much of it is built around a certain small time to actually promote anything, and you just hope that some of that went right. Because if you didn't do every single possible thing within that small amount of time, that's it. You blew it. It's over. It's done. So in something like this, where you have a crowdfunder or whatever it is, you have more of a window. You have as much of a window as you actually want. You can launch a crowdfunder 2 years from now and start promoting it today. But when you have something going to press, when you have something going to distribution, when you have the crowdfunder already up, time's already ticking. Right, and you've already lost probably like 4 months and you don't even realize it, that you should have been talking about it and promoting it. But now when it's hitting you in the face, you're like, oh, what do I do? So now you're in panic mode, and now you got to get all your stuff together. And that takes like a week or two. You just blew a week or two that you could have been promoting and talking about it. And now you find I've only got maybe 2 or 3 weeks left. Time's a ticking on whether it's the campaign, the distribution stuff, whatever it may be, and you've already wasted a ton of time. So it's that kind of thing where and there's a campaign, and this doesn't help you guys right now. I'm aware of that, and I'm sorry about that. But it's that kind of thing for the next one moving forward. There's a lot of work to do before that, but most campaign runners think it's like you launch it, and then you get all your ducks in a row. You got to get them all together before you launch.
Right, and that's I don't want to sound like I'm like throwing like anyone else under the bus. Like it could just be that like you know, like there was a miscommunication. I didn't understand, you know, because like we had been talking about, like I had been doing the art like before it had all launched and everything, and so you know what I'm saying, like it definitely could be on me for sure. Definitely, I'm not trying
Well,
to. Be
are
like,
they
you know.
running around and they're promoting as well? Do they have everything together and they've been promoting?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We do have like I'm over in the I don't know if it's like we might be enemies, I don't know. I'm over in like the cartoonist kayfabe. Maybe. I'm like over in the cartoonist kayfabe community, right?
Sure.
Like,
Everyone's my enemy till they say otherwise.
The whole thing. I mean,
I'm a neutral party myself.
And I don't mean that I view them as an enemy, but
I
yeah.
know.
What was that, Stato?
Well, the thing with crowdfunders is if you've got like 100 people, you could probably count on 10 to 20 sales. You kind of look at that. So you want to just get out there and really get people not only getting to know you, because, you know, friends and family kind of thing, they're more likely to look at something or back something than just some random person off the street.
Right.
But usually from my experience, it's like 10 to 15% of whatever you think you're going to have, however many people are looking, are probably going to be your sales.
Or
and that goes for like YouTube channel too. Like if you've got 1,000 people on Twitter, you might get 10 to 100 on YouTube too. So I mean, kind of.
Yeah. How many backers do you guys have right now? Do you know?
I think it's only, I want to say around like 20 to 30. But
Okay.
yeah.
Is this the first campaign that either you or the writer has ever done?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in a bunch of like other like fan fiction sort of projects that I've done, but I've never been involved with like you know, like promoting it beyond just being like, hey, I'm in this, you know, like here's the pre-order link.
Yeah.
Like I've never been involved beyond that, like with numbers or money or anything like that. And you know, it's that's what I'm saying. Like I'm always just trying to like up my game, figure out how to do things better. And you know, and I thought it was funny because I think we follow each other on Twitter, and like I was like watching, you were like, there was something on there the other day, and I was like, oh, he handled himself pretty well. It's kind of a
the Dungeons and Dragons nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he handled that pretty well. I like that. Like, so I've definitely seen people that get, you know, they get static, and then
I've been doing this now for 4 years of that kind of stuff. 4 years ago, I did not handle it that well. I'll tell you that though.
Right.
Goodness gracious. 4 years ago was a whole different story. But I'm a totally different. In some ways, they killed the person from 4 years ago. But it's one of those, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You know, so it's like out of the ashes, you rise anew. So some people out there, you know, it is what it is with things. But it's that particular thing, and I don't want to get into it too much on here because of whatever. But it's a weird world out there. For those that don't know, newsflash, right? So when it comes to making a project that you're doing something like this and you're trying to promote and you're trying to make sure you get as many eyes on it as possible, you could probably end up getting into a couple of different entanglements with some people who might come your way. It's so that's like a whole other hurdle, you know, as if this stuff isn't tough enough.
Right.
But when it comes to, you know, this sort of thing where you have a goal in mind and you've got your project and everything else, there's a lot of stuff that has to be done beforehand. So I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, $900 goal. If you guys haven't hit this within a week, even though it's your first time, if you haven't hit it within a week, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't done to lead up to that launch. And then that's the other thing. If you have a failure, failures are fine. We all have way more failures than successes. So don't ever view, not just you, but everybody in the chat, don't ever view failure as the end all be all that defines who you are. You're never going to have a success. But if you have a failure, it's either from one of two things, sometimes maybe both. And it's either promotion and marketing or quality. So either the quality isn't there or the promotion and marketing wasn't there. Sometimes both aren't there. But if you have a success, it's either you promoted the hell out of it and spread the word, and you'll see that. You'll see stuff out there that you're like, this thing don't look that great, but it's succeeding. And it's because they've done all their work to get the word out there, because everything's a numbers game. Because no matter what, if everyone on the planet knows about your stick figure drawing, you bet your ass you're going to sell more of that stick figure drawing than someone who works their butt off night in, night out, has a beautiful piece of art, and doesn't tell a damn soul.
Right.
So there's the lack of marketing and promotion, and there's the marketing and promotion. The skill had nothing to do with it. They got the word out. So if you've got both, though, then you gotta. It's amazing. That's when you see these campaigns that explode. You got the skill, and then you got the promo and marketing, and they got out. Then that's when you see these things take off. But so when you're looking at that, and you're assessing it afterwards or during or whatever, make sure you're looking at it and being honest with your assessment. And no matter what, and I'm not saying that you would do this, but I've seen some campaign runners do this, where they turn around and go, people just didn't come out to support this. And they blame it on the customer. They blame it on the person out there. It's not up to them to find you. Always keep that in mind. It's never up to the customer to find you. It's up to you to find the customer. There's a problem in the whole comic industry that's been going on since the collector bubble burst. Remember that? It's the collector bubble burst. The collector. It's the customers that just didn't want to keep buying caseloads of crap. It's their fault why this crashed. It has nothing to do with the publishers and the gimmicks and the bullshit and all this other, the quality not being, it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with just the customers. It's their fault. So there's been a tendency for companies and people like that to blame the customers. They just didn't show up. It's no, you guys just didn't engage them. You guys just didn't bring them in. So make sure when you do that and you assess everything, don't ever look at it and go, people just didn't show up. Look at it and go, we didn't find them, and we got to find a way to find them.
Got to give them a reason to buy your stuff over everybody else's.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, it's funny because like this is all the stuff, like this is why like I haven't started like a crowdfunder of my own, just because I've been like there's like so much shit to it, like all the everything you're talking about, like also getting over the, it can feel like weird, like being a promotion, like, like how do you feel like you're not being a shill, where you're just like, buy my comic, hey, look, it's the best thing ever, this is it.
I'll tell you an easy way to not feel that way is make sure you really love it. That's and you're looking to share it. That's it. Yep. Don't view it as you're trying to sell people on it. View it as, I made this cool thing. I want people to know about it. I want to share it. That's it. Everything else is up to them. Let them decide about buying it and this and that, because the follow-up, if they like what you're sharing, will be, where can I get it?
Enthusiasm goes a long way.
Yeah, and that's when you say, oh, here's the link. So it's that kind of a thing. Always make sure that you're excited about it. That, you're not someone who's generally, you're just out there and this is just, we have to sell. But make sure that you're out there, you're being genuine about it, you're caring about it. And I know it's so awkward to say that, because you figure how much time and money you put into making a comic. Why wouldn't you care about it? But there's so many people out there that behave at least like they don't care about it. Like they're not the biggest fan of the work they're creating. Then that comes through. So it's almost as if, you're eating the food from someone who really hates making this food. It's just a job, though. What else am I going to do with my life? It's that kind of thing. And you're eating it and you're like, oh, what's in this? This is nasty. And they're like, I don't know, some expired shit and it's food, eat it. What do you want from me? I'm not eating it. Right. You're eating it. This is my job. There's no love. There's no caring. There's no passion. Right. But if you've got that stuff in there, you're going to want to talk to people about it. You're going to be excited about it. And that's going to be infectious, All
right. I feel that. I could feel that. Like, that's what I was going to ask. I wanted to ask you too about, like with Alterna Comics. Like, I know, like, I've gotten a couple of your years before, and they were on like newsprint. Yeah. Or at least it seemed like newsprint. Yep. And is that like still like, is that like line or like company wide, or is that like?
Yeah. Especially to this point where Alterna doesn't officially produce graphic novels anymore, and we used to for the full first 10 years or so. That was kind of all we did. Now it's just newsprint everything. Even if it's a thicker issue, it's a giant. 80 pages or so, it's still just all newsprint. And we're going to be doing that until they literally have stopped the presses at every newsprint press that's possible. But if anything, then this is what's interesting, having a conversation with our printer the other day, the supply chains have affected printing paper stocks, but not so much newsprint paper stocks, because those are dependent upon recycling pulp. So
Okay.
coated paper stocks are being vastly affected, but newsprint paper stocks are very, very little of it has been affected. So that's kind of something interesting.
That's crazy, because that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm around like all these people that are just like, they've got hard-ons for newsprint. They're like, I can't get it. I don't know where to get it. It's impossible to find. I'm like, every time I see like alternative books, they're on like, they got some kind of secret
Yeah.
stash. Like,
Well,
what's the deal?
It's not super easy. I was blessed with years ago. I don't even 6, 5, 7. I don't even know anymore. I'll say 7 years ago. I had a conversation with Randall Bishop, and he's in the chat. We were talking about this stuff with newsprint books, and he was saying how he was doing small runs on newsprint. And I've been looking to get books printed on newsprint for forever, but I was looking in the wrong places. I was looking for offset printers. I should have been looking for web press printers.
Okay.
So if people start looking for web press printers that are capable of saddle stitching books, because some of them aren't capable of that. They'll just fold up the flyers and the newspapers. They won't, staple anything. If you look for that, you'll be able to find more newsprint printers available to you. But generally speaking, you got to print at least like 2,000 or so to make it
Right.
affordable. But it's always going to be way more affordable than a coated paper stock.
And is there? Well, I guess you probably don't care like asking questions about your stuff, but like for like the color work on like newsprint, or at least like, do you have to go with like that? Like, is it? What do you have to do with different with color? I guess that's the question.
nothing that you shouldn't be doing on a coated paper stock. Most coated paper stocks, the coloring is too saturated in terms of the ink. You don't need as much ink that's there. So you should keep them at your total ink coverage at around 230. So that means the CMYK, when you add them all together, they can go up to 100%. It means that when you add them all together, there shouldn't be a total of higher than 230. So, 40C, 50M, 40Y, 70K, which is black. You don't want to total anything that's higher than 230. But that should kind of be across the board, even for coated paper stocks too. You shouldn't be like 100 across the board ever to create like a rich black or whatever it is. You should create something that's always more along the lines of like 230 to maybe like 250, 270. But 230 is a pretty solid number for that. But I got somebody else waiting in the back room. Thank you so much, Dr. Ben. Hopefully some of the advice helps either now or in the future.
Both.
And
Both. Thank you.
no problem. And thanks for stopping by, man.
Thanks,
All right.
Dr. Ben.
Thank you.
All right. Before we get to the person in the back, thank you for waiting so patiently. We got General Piggy here. Says Pete spitting facts. I don't know what I was saying at the time, but thank you so much, General Piggy, for the super chat. And then Jasper says, someone please kill that cricket for 1999. So thank you, Jasper.
Done.
The cricket is gone. There you go. And
I murdered him.
And I didn't even think we needed to kill him. Randall Bishop, in the chat right there, and says thanks for the shout out, Pete. Hawk of New York, Randall Bishop, he put that out, and he was hooking us up with, well, at least sending me down the right path, and said I've used this printer. I don't know if you want to talk to him. Things didn't work out with that printer with us, but it sent me down the right path to find, I think, 6 or 7 other newsprint printers that we've used since that time. And there's a lot of them out there. I've spoken to about 150 of them. So just shop around and make sure you're looking for web press printers. And now we've got Vault Cobalt. What's up, Vault?
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, what have you got for us today?
Well, as you can see, this is supposed to be a cover for an upcoming project that I'll be releasing hopefully this year. And if I'm pretty sure you can tell the major issues that's probably making my editor's life a little bit of hell right now.
Yeah, I'll let you say them first.
Okay, well, the art's great and everything, but
Oh yeah.
you can't put a title up top because you're gonna be on top of the good art,
Sure.
so you can't really have a traditional format.
Are you looking for a solution?
Well, and that's why I'm here to get your advice on it. But I was thinking something along the lines of putting like a vertical title on the left, and and another vertical title on the right, because it's a little bit of a long title.
What's the title?
Well, the working title right now is Legend of the Ashman, Soldulphus. And then I thought, the credits and everything would be like where you normally put it, which is at the bottom. And I think that doesn't cover too much of the art if you do it that way.
You said, how do you spell Sodulphus?
Let me put in the private chat for you so I don't make a fool of myself.
I'm a fan of keeping titles as short as you possibly can. What about you, Stato?
Single word's easier to remember,
Yeah.
or at
always.
least a couple of words, whatever like that.
Honestly, I would switch it around and say it's Sodulphus, and then if you want to really have a subtitle, then Legend of the Ashman. So it's Sodulphus. Okay, so Cidolphus. Yeah, I would definitely say. Well, the thing is, is this going to distribution? Is this going to be on a stand, on a shelf?
Well, it's an eight pager. It's going to be like a mini comic because it ties into my main project, which is coming out next year, which is going to be a lot more pages. That's why it's not coming out this year.
Put it on the bottom then. You don't need to have that on the top then.
Mhm.
If this is just going to be like a kind of a preview ash can sort of a cover, just put the title on the bottom. There's plenty of room on the bottom.
Yep.
Doesn't need to
Otherwise-
be on the top.
Otherwise, what you could have done is just drop the picture down a little bit and then extended some flames and put the title there, and maybe the flames crawl over the title just a little bit.
Yeah, if you
Kinda
wanted
have
to kind of rework it a bit.
Yeah.
Or you can do something where you go completely different with it and you kind of shrink it all proportionally, have a border around it, have some kind of ornate border thing,
Yeah.
and then have the title up top if you really, really want to put it up top. But you could put it right at the bottom.
And it wouldn't look too weird or anything.
No.
No, well, especially where it's a preview ash can type of thing.
Well, see, one of the things is if you've got it up at the top, usually that was for like newsstand, right?
Yeah,
So, I
they'd
mean,
be
if
the way they
it's-
would hit. Yeah,
if
you
it's
want to see
not-
the top.
If you don't have like another book covering it, or you don't have like something on the shelf covering it, on the bottom's just fine. I mean, yeah.
Do you have the logo done?
No, like you probably didn't catch in the chat, but it's currently at the editors because this isn't going to be set up like a traditional comic. There's no dialogue. It's mostly going to be like a story with just narration because it's based off a short story. That's why it's an 8-pager. And then it's going to have technically it's a 12-pager. It's going to be 8 pages of the legend right here, and then 2-page preview of my main project, which comes out next year.
Okay.
Okay, wait. So there's no. This is just an art preview, essentially. Is that what you're saying?
No, because the artist that did this is different from the artist that's doing the main book. This is more like it's giving you a preview of the world that everything's going to take place in, because it technically ties into a book that I've already released. Yeah, last year, which was a novella. It wasn't your traditional graphic novel or comic.
Okay. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I'm very confused. I'm only confused because if it's a preview kind of thing that's being printed and it's a preview that's kind of almost going nowhere. You said that it's not using the same artist. It's not going to be the same person on the thing that's being made. Is that what you said? Am I?
Yes.
So it's
Hearing
almost
that
like
right?
a companion.
Yeah.
Yes. So this
Sort
is
of,
more like a supplemental,
Hmm.
completely aside, has nothing really to do with the main work in a way.
Yeah.
And it's going to have like an advertisement or something like that for your other works. Is that
Give
correct?
you a little bit of a flavor.
Yeah, you're right. That's the idea.
All right. So if that's the case, I mean, to be perfectly honest, you could just kind of have a small title right there in the bottom, like left or the bottom right, and call it a day for this on a cover. I mean, this is a beautiful piece. It's kind of, it'd be a shame to see it just be used for something that's and I don't hate I hate saying like this, but it's almost like a throwaway. But it's I mean, don't rack your brain about trying to put it up top. If anything, having it as a base, the whole flow of the piece moves up. So if you have it working with the imagery on the bottom, you're going to have it be fine. But I'm trying to wrap my head around what this is exactly selling. Because I thought this was selling something like almost like a preview to what you were selling. But it sounds like this is something else that's different from it.
Well, story wise, it is selling it, but not artist wise.
Okay.
Like I said, it's two different artists that worked on this one that's working on my main book. But this kind of like, it gives you the feel of the type of world you're going to be in, that type of stuff. Like you said, more like a supplemental.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be mentioning that within the book, within the 8 pages, that it's going to be a different team?
Yeah, that's 2 pages are going to be a preview of the main book, which I'm currently in the process of getting colored. So you will see the actual art that's going to be in the main book and, you know, the final product and everything.
Okay. So this is just 100% solely just a cover. It has nothing to do. There's no reflection upon this artwork being in the main thing that'll be for sale.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to torture yourselves too much. There's plenty of room on the bottom for a logo. Mm-hmm. And I would go with your main, just the Sidolphus. And then if you want to have Legend of the Ashman or whatever, you could have that as like a subtitle. If you put Legend of the Ashman Sidolphus, you're kind of putting everything out of order in a way, in terms of what the order of prominence would be. You know, it would be like the Legend of Peter Parker, Spider-Man. It would kind of feel like, why don't you just call it Spider-Man? Or like Spider-Man, the Legend of Peter Parker. You know, it kind of feels like you're putting something before something else in order of importance. Whereas, like, I'm guessing that's the name of the character, is Sidolphus.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that is what sticks with people. So that's the thing that is the main kind of selling point. If you kind of say that that's not as important,
there's a good chance when you're talking about it, though, you're going to shorthand it anyways.
Yeah.
Probably to the name. So whatever it is that's really fast and comfortable for you to talk about, probably the best thing to call it, because you're going to be referring to it a lot when you're talking to people about it.
Yeah.
All right. So I was just overthinking it.
Yeah. Don't ever.
The best of us.
Yeah. Don't try to do that. Because when you first saw this, what was your immediate reaction of where to put the title?
Well, yeah, at the bottom, I just, like you said, it's a lot of words, so you got to kind of think of how to fit it.
Yeah. See, so, and that's the thing, we always kind of, we second guess ourselves on our gut reaction, you know, and that's almost always kind of the right answer. So, yeah, definitely, I would say put it at the bottom. Put it at the bottom, especially where this is going to be a kind of an Ashcan supplemental kind of a thing. You know, and especially even if this was actually your official done book, if it's not going to be on a stand or on a shelf or whatever, because the whole idea of putting the title at the top was the whole newsstand way that they would cascade, so you could still see the title. But if it's not going to be on something like that, you have more freedom to put the title wherever you kind of want to put the title. So wherever it works with the art would make the most sense. So yeah, I would say put it at the bottom. But it'd be interesting to see if you came back with it when you had the logo. You know, definitely feel free to stop by, because there's a lot going on the image. So depending on the logo, if you get like almost too crazy with the logo could get lost. So it really depends how you do it, and design that logo to almost in a way work more with the image.
Otherwise, if you're dead set on having it at the top, it's really just as simple as dragging down the image to just above that fire and putting like a white bar or a black bar up there. You know, you see it like Dark Horse would do that kind of thing all the time.
Yeah, you could do that too.
It's a cube picture with your logo text right clear as day on a Tales from the Crypt, same thing. Like,
Yep.
it's eye catching if you're going to do it that way.
Yeah, I would bring it down to right where, so it would be kind of. I'm pointing at the screen as
below
if you
their
could see
feet.
what I'm pointing to. Yeah, below the feet, right before you start to see the black and the rocks and things like that. So kind of crop that there, bring it down, and then you'd have enough room at the top there to kind of put the logo at the top if you really wanted to put it at the top too.
Nah, now that you say it, I think it'll work at the bottom. But I was just thinking, like, so a logo should stand out, but not just like be completely standing out crazy or nothing. So
Yeah, I
doesn't
think-
distract.
I'm not necessarily a fan of like over-designed logos, the ones that have like real superfluous curvatures and a lot of gradients and like a drop shadow and a big stroke around the whole thing. Like, I'm not really a fan of that. So if you get a little bit more, not basic with it, but a little bit more in terms of thinking always, and it should always be this way for logos anyway, thinking more about clarity and more about, readability. And working with any image that you create. If you think about it more in terms of that for the logo, you'll be fine with whatever kind of beautiful work you have here. And who is the artist anyway, or artists involved on this piece?
This was actually a studio. The first time I used them, they're a Vietnamese studio. They're called. Let me just make sure it's right real quick. Rover Studio.
Rover Studio. We don't have a name for
No,
these
I asked them and
individuals?
they said they're a team and they go by Rover Studio. So there you
I
go.
hate that.
Interesting.
I hate that.
Hey, I wanted to credit them and everything, but
Yeah,
that's what they
I
said.
hear you. Rover Studio, why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you doing that to the creators at your studio? They have names. Give them names. Let them say their names. Oh my dear Lord. Because the thing that happens afterwards with that, when you don't let these people have their names and they're just whatever, we're under a studio, we're a team, or whatever hogwash they want to talk about. Now that person then goes off eventually on their own or whatever, or tries to get other work and tries to have a resume to show off. And it's like, well, where are you? I can't find you. Oh, you're Rover Studio. Well, what the hell did you do on this piece at Rover Studio? Did you do all of it? Did you do the colors? Did you do the pencil work? Did you do the inking? What did you actually do? And then all of a sudden, you're damn sure that person wants to be credited specifically for what they did. So that's why it's like, avoid it. You could say you work for Rover Studio. And again, this is not to you, Vault Kobold. I know you're not doing this. But if Rover Studio watches this, whoever that may be, person or persons, you're doing a discredit to the people that are working on this by not actually giving them your name and saying this is who they are, even if it's a pseudonym or something. Let them have some credit in terms of that. Oh, good God, I hate that. That's such a pet peeve of mine.
That was very WWF just now. I'm not saying this to you, Bill Kobold.
Listen, brother, I'm calling you out. Rover Studios, I've had it to here with that.
Hey, I'm
But yeah.
satisfied with the work.
Yeah, the work is beautiful. It's great. And if anything, I look at that and I go, oh, who did it? I want to get in touch with them. And then you're like, well, it's the studio that did it. And I'm like, I don't want to work with a studio. I want to work with a person.
Surprised it's one person trying to be more professional.
Imagine if everything at Alterna Comics was like, no, we're a team here. No one has a name, all right? Alterna Comics, that's it. We do it. Everything here is done by Alterna Comics. How friggin' weird does that sound, right? Oh, it's a beautiful piece. I would love to know specifically who did it, but I understand. I'm not upset with you, Vault.
Hey, so would I.
Metatron says, and it's insane that they wouldn't just say to you, like, look, on the down low, this is the person, but publicly we credit as whatever. Anyway, that screams of like, listen, we don't want to take this person away from our studio. We don't want to tell you who they are, so you go contacting them and then they go work on the side. We got to make sure that we keep everything on the up and up over here. It's like, okay, right. Metatron says avoid vertical lettering always. Yeah, I would agree. Don't do a vertical logo kind of thing. I would definitely advise against that too.
Well, now that you say it, I was just off the top of my head, I was thinking since the title's going to be in the bottom, something blocky maybe, just to kind of go in the theme of it being like rough and fiery.
Oh yeah, that could work.
I don't know. I'd think you'd, since
Right.
it's a very chaotic background, you'd want something maybe with a cooler color to kind of stand it out, and a little bit, well, maybe blocky, but yeah, just something that's kind of opposite of the
Yeah.
really scratchy type stuff going on there,
Yeah,
just so they can read it.
Don't get too crazy with the rough kind of whatever of it, and don't necessarily, I guess don't play it off on just only this. Think about it in terms of you want to use this logo universally, piece to piece. Adjust the color scheme to work with the cover, but don't constantly feel like well, I have to change the logo to suit the cover image every cover image.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's about it. I guess. Did you have any other questions at all?
No, that was very helpful.
Oh, good.
All right. Good. It seriously, it looks great. I think it'll be fine. And again, when you have the logo done, come back and I'd love to see the logo and where you place it on here, because it's a great looking piece, and I wish you the best of luck with it.
Oh, show.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give those notes to my editor tomorrow.
All right. Yeah, just like clip this, the time that you were on here, be like, just watch this and whatever. If anything that this crazy dude makes sense to you, he's talking about, then I guess we'll do that. And this way you can blame me, right? When they give you crap about, like, instead of like, they could shoot the messenger and not you. They could be upset at me instead. I'm used to people being upset at me. Don't worry about it.
Well, now my editor's probably gonna be happy. You're more on his side and stuff like that. I was the dummy saying the vertical letters and everything.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck with it. And again, when you have that logo and everything and you place it on there, come back to another feedback form if you can. And I'd love to see the placement.
Thanks a lot, Pete.
All right, man. Take it easy, brother.
Good night.
All right. Oh, that literally ended and we had somebody else pop in. Stato, are you okay to go for
Of course.
a little bit more? Okay.
Absolutely.
Hey, Helado, what's up?
Oh yeah. Hello. I didn't know it was just ending. That's okay.
No, the show wasn't it was gonna end if there was nobody else in here, but I want to make sure that we get to you since you are here.
Oh, okay. Just give me 1 second to share something in Imagura, because I thought I would have to wait, but it won't take long.
Sure.
Okay.
Here it is, Imagur. Loading. Okay, done. Grab link. Copy link.
I like the
Okay.
narration.
Yeah.
Here you go.
All right. Let's see. It's in the private chat. All right. Did you want to share the screen or?
Ah,
You want me to do it?
let me see how I can do that. Well, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. All right. I'll share the screen here. I'll continue the narration that Helada has started. I'm clicking on Share tab. And,
Waiting patiently.
we have the tab
Here we
is
go.
now shared.
Yeah. So let me just explain that it's a cover for a book I did,
Mhm.
and I did everything on it. And the cover would be the right part of the image. The left part of the image would be the back cover. There's a tiny bit of extra room actually, because there's the bleed there. But if you can picture it being just a little bit cut
little
off
more
at the
in.
sides, yeah.
Okay.
But I was really wondering how would you improve this? I sort of fought someone over this picture once, and I was really curious.
Fought them over it?
Well, I didn't fight them like with my fists, but
okay.
we had a very strong
It's too bad.
argument, and he was
No,
arguing
it's too bad.
against.
No one just resorts to socking each other in the face anymore. What a world.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but
I was hoping you
such
got
is
video.
life. It's cathartic. Yeah.
Fight it out. Sock each other in the face a couple times, get it all out of you, and then
Then
you
you'll know
can
where each
talk.
other stand.
Yeah, then you're tired, you're exhausted. Now you can talk it out. So let's see.
Where they live.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you have to have a 15-minute fight about putting on sunglasses. So Helada, the only thing here, it's kind of an interesting cover. The only thing here that I'm having a problem with is the logo.
Okay.
I can't read that thing for the life of me.
Yep. I had to
Yeah.
read the spine.
Okay. Mm, you were talking a bit about over-designed logos, and I see what you mean about that. But do you know a little bit about logos, for example, in metal albums? You know,
Yeah.
death metal or black metal. Very often, logos are completely impossible to decipher, and I don't know. I think it's kind of okay, right? It's like I love logos that are in Japanese and I can't read them, but I still want to buy the book, you know. But I take what you mean to, and many people have told me that they can't understand this one. Yeah,
Everyone in the chat. I didn't even read anything that anybody said. I immediately was just, I was on the other window. I come back and everyone's like, I don't know what this title is.
yeah,
Yeah. So I know what you're talking about in terms of, you know, a death metal album logo or whatever, but this isn't a death metal album.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So you want to make sure you can still keep it, the logo, artistic and get creative with it. But at the same time, it should always have clarity and readability. Because let's see, the logo is Yiffing in Hell.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I can kind of make out the in hell. Yiffing is not really a word that I'm very familiar with. So that one was, I thought it was almost like thing in hell.
sure.
I think taking the metal streaks out of there would help a little bit because it's up against it's kind of makes it busy up against a busy background.
That was definitely my thought, too.
The black streaks, you mean?
Or like the white streaks, you know, where
No,
it looks
yeah,
almost like metallic.
Yeah.
Where you're seeing that, like that first.
Oh,
like,
okay.
in
Oh,
the
I know
eye,
what you
where
mean.
you got that J, that big white streak that really blends in with the background, which is
Yeah,
at that point kind of white there.
the
too.
white highlights, you mean? Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I could let me take a bit of a note because that's a good idea as something to adjust that wouldn't necessarily entail redoing the whole thing. Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you could play with that. And then even if you wanted to leave just like one sheen, like in the middle or whatever across. But there's so much with the logo going on with the background. And then you have these diagonal streaks on the logo with the vertical bars on the cover. And then there's the colors that are clashing with the logo with the background of the image. Because you were saying that you were having the argument about the image itself.
Yeah, you see, I almost worked with this pretty successful French author, and this was going to be sort of a collaboration with him. In the end, I got paid for my work, but I wasn't published by originally the publishing project we were pursuing didn't work out, and I had to sort of self-publish it using the funds they paid me with. But he had this really adverse, very intense reaction to the cover. Like he kept saying that it wasn't a cover. Like, this isn't a cover. This isn't a comic book cover. And I tried to sort of defend it because it's it's a piece I'm proud of. There's a lot of ideas in it. I think. Do you know the meme about the? What was it? The double slit single particle experiment. Do you know that?
No, I don't think I do.
No. Well, okay. It's a really crazy experiment that in quantum physics, pretty
You're
old.
talking about like the Hadron Collider? Are you talking about that?
No, the black bars in the cover.
Yeah.
They're meant to reference something that's called an interference pattern, and it's sort of a whole thing. You have to read about it. It's become a bit of a meme lately, so I think people are more aware of it than before. But I mean, I just want to say that there's a lot of ideas in it, but
Yeah.
I was interested in the reaction this guy had.
Like, if I had to be completely brutally honest, I would say take everything out of there except for the image that is being covered by the black bars. And
Yeah.
just make that whole image the cover.
Yeah.
and then incorporate the logo. Like I almost think that there's too much that's kind of covering up the cover. I get you're trying to go for something, but I think what you're trying to go for clashes with actually, because I'm guessing that's your artwork on the cover, right? Like
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
So, and you had done and completed the artwork that the bars are covering, right? And then you just kind of covered and superimposed the bars on the top.
I was going a little bit for something like, the idea of looking at something through bars, like, for
Yeah.
example, a barred garden, and something that would make you want to open the book, like it would interest you, like the hindrance would make you wonder.
Well, you know what? This
yeah.
would be cool if he was going to have a die cut cover. So if in between the bars it was die cut. So what I mean by that is that it was cut away and that the first page is what you're seeing through there, and the first page would be your art.
Yeah.
So if that was what was happening, that would be cool. And that is exactly what would happen is someone would see that, go, oh, it's cut through. I got to open that and see what the rest of the image is. Because then they know that it would be a reveal. But on this, it's like permanent blue balls. You're never getting a reveal here. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just frustration for that customer because they're never going to open that up. And they're not, you could have that image on the next page and they're not actually going to think of that. They're going to see that and go like, I don't know what to think of here, you know? So, and you're doing your art a disservice by covering it up with all the, I know what you're trying to go for, but you're actually, it's not successful in that way in terms of what you may think it's doing. Did the person actually say anything though to you, like in a concise fashion, or was it just like an emotional tantrum?
A little bit of mostly an emotional tantrum, but he did make the point that like he argued that people aren't generally aware of this experiment, even though it's like the most important thing in the universe basically for physics. It's sort of something that you could say objectively proves that objectivity doesn't exist. It's a really intense I don't know if I can say it, like a mind twister, let's say.
Is that the point of the book?
Yeah, well, sort of the whole idea is that the experiment proves that the presence of an observer changes the outcome of the experiment. And it changes how light sort of
how the photon
behaves.
Particles behave and things like
either
that.
as a wave or as a particle.
Yeah.
So the idea is that the fact that it's sort of like to illustrate the idea that this thing that is that you would have to traverse to access to look at the picture directly, it's actually the symptom of the fact that you are looking at it. So there's a lot of ideas like that.
Yeah,
so,
this is almost like,
I think if you're dead set on using that kind of thing, and it's explained in the book, maybe on the back cover. So when they finish the book and they turn it around, like, aha, you know, if you really like are absolutely, but as an attention grabber, you know, I mean, keep in mind they're going to be seeing this picture itself on just a screen. Where they can't really interact with it or anything like that.
And they're not going to know that this is about this and the other thing and that and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's
especially
like
if it's
this.
a small picture,
that's all
then
you get.
it's going to be, it's very, if you blow it up, I mean, you can kind of see stuff going on, but if it's, say, a thumbnail or, you know, like a 4x4 kind of thing, it's a lot of the details, especially like we talked about with the logo there, get lost. So it ends up looking like a little bit like white noise.
Yeah.
That is a very valid point about the preserving the thumbnail. It's I think you can sort of see it, but it's true that that preserving the thumbnail is kind of an important thing.
It's true, but when you're that's absolutely true. But when you're selling a book, you want to go with the path of least resistance, because you know people like to kind of be, you know, they don't have to really work.
Yeah, because conceptually, I get what you're saying on the particle photon type stuff, but as far as the book, I don't know how the hell that makes a book. What's the book about?
The well, I have these two books, and I'm selling them, by the way. If anyone kind of wanna, I have digital editions available right now. Very sorry for shilling like this without permission, but there you go. But the idea is, I like to describe the book as a retelling of Dracula.
I hope you can. A what? A repelling of Dracula?
Yeah, retelling of Dracula.
A retelling of Dracula.
Yeah, it's sort of like.
Oh, brother, if it's a difficult thing to explain like this, that's not helping.
A retelling of Dracula, I think it's a pretty simple thing, but the key point I want to argue is that there's sort of two schools of thought around, culture, comics, movies. One of them is that people want to turn off their brain while they're consuming something, and they want to escape. And the other is that people want to have, a peak experience, and that includes that means that rather than being very easy, the idea is for it to be very difficult, and rather than turning off your brain, the idea is that it's sort of a challenge. Like it would be to like if you went to a museum and you had to read and learn and really think about what you're looking at.
This sounds like you're making an abstract fine art piece and you're trying to turn it into a comic book.
That's my intention.
Well,
yeah,
that might be some. If you've got some like text on the back to sort of make that a little clearer.
You see, that wouldn't be elegant.
Oh, I suppose no.
Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you see in fancy galleries.
Yeah, but this, I mean, I don't want to be rude here, but this isn't the kind of thing you'd see in fancy galleries either.
Well, I don't know. In fancy galleries, you have, literal paintings made with excrements nowadays. So
well, that's what I mean. What did you think I meant?
No, but you do have. Actually, my work is very inspired by. I'm not going to bore you with that, but yeah, I take your point, and
yeah, I'm trying to say that if you can't manage to distill the concept down to this is the characters doing this story and this is how it's playing out.
I can do that. I have a sort of an elevator pitch for it, actually.
Okay.
Let me read it to you. It's very short. It's just that I was trying to sort of describe the book instead of just giving. The elevator pitch is Sigle Gonzalez, that would be the character on the top, on the bottom left. Sigle Gonzalez, the Glandelinian champion, investigates an ominous node in the World Wide Web. A self-aware comic that treats you as much as you read it. Violent, grim, and sexy too. That's sort of the blurb, you could say.
Okay, and how is it a retelling of Dracula?
Well, it's complicated.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
If you read it, you would find out. But I know what you mean. But like, do you remember the commercial for the first commercials for Matrix, when the Matrix films were about to come out? To me, at least, the whole appeal of that trailer was that you watched the trailer and you had absolutely no idea what the film was going to be about. And that sort of sense of mystery, to me, is much more appealing than saying, yeah, in this comic, Superman beats up Brainiac again, or something like that,
But that's the trailer. That's not the film.
Well, this is the cover.
But the cover's not a trailer.
Yeah, there's that. But there was even there were. I believe that nowadays, for example, there's the covers are mostly done by another artist, and I think that's much more false advertising than what I'm doing. You see, I don't know, but it's not about arguing or winning.
Oh, no.
I think that.
It just sounds like you need a fairly simple hook to pull people in, so that they can kind of ride through this book. is you know,
Yeah,
just
you have to find a way to distill this down to being the most clearly concise, easily understood image and concept that you can come up with.
just got to have those couple of
Um,
lines that get them to want to open up that, you know, and start reading.
But
that.
Can we
it
just
also it
can we
doesn't.
just agree that, that's you know, a valid school of thought, but it might not be the only school of thought possible?
What's the school of thought?
Like the idea that the way to appeal to people is to give them something that's very, very simple and distilled. I mean, that's, I think, very valid. But I
Oh, it's
don't know.
definitely not the.
Oh,
It's
sure.
definitely not the only way. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I just more mean that and you can have the most complex, convoluted, you know, out there concept and whatever in the world, but you still have to communicate that so someone understands. So, and the whole purpose of storytelling is communication. You know, so you're informing the reader, the viewer, whatever it may be, at all times. If you aren't able to inform them of anything, and the whole point is whatever you want it to be, and they're either getting it or they're not, you could do that, but it won't be as successful as perhaps you would like it to be. If the whole point of it isn't necessarily to be successful and you're just kind of creating to create and it's out there and that's what it is. If this was 100%, and from what it sounds like it's not, if it was 100% your own thing entirely,
Yeah.
I'd say, hey, go for it. Do whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to be like a modern artist, fine artist, and making comics and doing it in this modern art, fine art kind of a way, go for it. But if you're being kind of hired or commissioned or whatever to bring something
Yeah,
to
of
a
course.
project,
Yeah, of
then,
course. Yeah.
yeah, then there's going to
Yeah.
be other input involved. And
No, I
direction.
agree with that 100%. Yeah, an illustrator should not be. Yeah, this is sort of a puzzle or a riddle cover. You know, it's something that I sort of like to think about what would entice me in a comic book shop, but very often the things that would entice me wouldn't necessarily be, you know, mainstream.
Well,
So,
which comics do entice you? They don't have to be modern day because I don't know any.
do you know the Airtight Garage
The Airtight
Mo-
Garage?
by Moebius? Do you
Oh,
know
yeah.
Moebius?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
the Airtight Garage is sort of his masterpiece, and it's a really it's sort of a dream. It's sort of a really strange book, and yeah, it's not. That's an example of a comic that's pretty weird, and
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, you're definitely doing more of the European graphic novel kind of thing. I definitely get that, in terms of, you know, not the American Western kind of comic. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just kind of observing. But it's just more about, I think, the effectiveness of what you're trying to communicate. It definitely is getting lost in translation in some way here. But
can I ask,
it almost
what
seems
your-
like you purposefully want it to be lost in translation, though.
can I ask just and I want you to be, you know, completely 100% brutally honest. Like what your emotion, like if you're looking at the picture at a more or less decent resolution, what your like, would you want to read the book? Are you curious about reading a book, or not too much?
I would say no.
You would say no. Okay.
I would say no.
And that's
And-
because of the arguments you were laying out.
Yeah, it doesn't draw me in. If anything, everything it does kind of repels me. So it speaks to me in an artistic way. Like if this was a huge piece and I'm seeing it like poster sized or bigger, you know, it would give me pretty much the emotion that I think you're looking to stir in someone. But it's not giving me that same thing. That kind of emotion is not the thing that makes me want to pick up a book and read it.
Okay.
You know, I would, for me, what I'm drawn to would be there's a scene being set up in terms of there's a
Right.
character, there's a
Right,
thing
yeah.
that's occurring, and I want to find out the predicament that's involved that's being displayed on the cover for a
Sure,
comic. This is what it
Sure,
would be.
sure.
But you're kind of looking more to elicit an emotional response from someone, and that's kind of what that it almost begins and ends with that. It's not like this piece is necessarily looking to invite and entice a reader to open it up and read it. At least that's from the chat. That's what I'm getting from myself. That's kind of what I'm getting, and even in some of the stuff that you're saying, that's kind of what I'm getting. It's more about causing almost like some kind of uncomfortableness.
I wouldn't say uncomfortable. I think when I look at pictures, when I look at a comic, if I can see what it's about, what it's gonna go like, oh, it's that trope, oh, that sort of thing is gonna happen. To me, it's sort of boring. But when I look at a picture and I don't know what sort of context it comes from or what it's about, like it's the opposite reaction to you. Like
at that point, to be honest, it'd be more successful then if that's exactly what you want. Do like the way the old leather-bound literary classics were. Literally,
just a title,
and that's it.
Yeah, well.
if that's kind of the point of just I'm gonna read that title and then immediately I'm gonna have to read this to find out what it's about.
That's not quite fair because there's so little information. Like if you look at this image as a sort of challenge, it's quite a challenge, but also it's a pretty visual image. So there's a lot there to look at or to ponder at, but you do need to have that sort of mentality where you want to sort of decipher something or go into something in a very active mindset, as if it was a bit of almost like a contest, but I understand that it's just about different points of view, and I agree with you that it's most likely not the most mainstream thing I could have done for the cover.
Oh, well, it doesn't necessarily need to be mainstream, in terms of whatever. It just, to me, I think it would have been a lot more successful, maybe even really thin those black bars, thin them out in a way to almost create that kind of pattern, like through like a TV screen kind of pattern.
Yeah,
like
the
that
problem
interlacing.
is that they had to be the same thickness. I played with them quite a bit actually in Photoshop, but the problem is for the idea.
No, I mean you would have more. You would have more bars. So you would still have that,
I see what you mean.
You would still have that play, that on again, off again kind of play.
Sure.
But it wouldn't be as like black bar, like that. It would be a thinner bar, but more bars and more of that equidistance between.
Yeah,
the spacing.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
and then also just make that the cover. So none of the presenting part, none of the the person at the bottom or whatever. Literally just let the cover be the cover, but have those kinds of bars across and have that kind of interlacing going through.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I don't remember if I tried that, but that actually is quite a valid. That would be an interesting middle ground to try out. I'm gonna take a note of that also.
Or what would be really crazy and cool, if you want to go all out, would almost be like a pop-up book style thing where there's a tab on every, and this is a whole other thing that's not even probably possible for this, but you have these bars and you pull a tab and then it reveals another image through the tab, and then each page is like that. You pull the tab, it reveals another image through the bars, and so the bars kind of shift and then shut off and turn on depending on how you push and pull. But that's like a whole conceptually different kind of thing to execute.
Could I perhaps ask for a little bit of input, because I believe the back cover. What would you say, for example, if the back cover was the cover?
If the back cover was the cover?
Yeah, the image to the left.
I mean, it's definitely clearer. Stato, what do you think?
Yeah, well, you're talking if you just had like the logo and then that character?
Like the picture to the left, and I would maybe rearrange it a little bit so the logo would fit somewhere within it. Yeah.
Well, with that, you've got like the character going into hell basically, and this character is kind of almost treading into blackness. I think that would be a bit more clear as far as fitting with the title.
Yeah, maybe I could just ask the shops to turn the books around, and that way it would be more more understandable.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
you're definitely walking uphill on ice.
Walking uphill on ice. Yeah, it's
It's
really
gonna be
interesting to
it's
me.
gonna be tough.
Yeah, the reactions and all that.
But all
But it's okay.
luck in the world.
Thank you very much. It's yeah, I have a couple of notes here, and really thank you for your time and
And
feedback.
if it does well, come back and be like, hey, you stupid jackass! It sold like
No,
a million copies.
no,
So shut up.
you made you
And
made
then
a,
I'll have to start doing what you're doing.
you know the problem with that is that if you're gonna judge whether you're right or wrong based on success, you know Justin Bieber ruined that for everyone. Because
Well,
it's
it was
just awful.
ruined way before Justin Bieber.
It's just awful.
Let's not give him that kind of credit.
Yeah, okay, but you know, if the word vulgar, you know, it means popular pretty much. So that's something to consider. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, best of luck to you, Hilada, and thank you for coming on here to share it with us.
Thank
I
you.
know we put
Thank
you
you.
through the
Thank you
ringer.
very much, yeah.
You were a good sport about it. Thank you so much, man.
No problem.
Take it easy. Have a great night.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
All right. We have our last guest for the night. Stato, are you okay?
Of course, I'm okay. How are
Okay.
you?
I'm doing good. 15 minutes and that's it. And we've got King Leak. What's up, King,
King
Leak?
Leak.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hey, what's up, Statio?
How's it going?
Not too bad. Now, just a real quick question. For the cover of my book, is it proper to put like who your editor is on the cover? Like you have, the creator name, the artist name, is editor perfectly fine to put on there as well?
You could do that too. Yeah.
That's up to you.
Okay, that's the only question I had.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, you're doing a great job. Just make sure.
I mean, you could write thanks, Mom and Dad, if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. But yeah, just wanted to say that you're doing a great job, and you kind of give hope for the rest of us who are trying to get our books off the ground. So.
Oh boy! All right. Well, thank you, man. That means a lot, and I'll try to do my best to be worthy of such praise.
All right. You have yourself a good one.
You too. Take it easy.
Talk to King Leak.
Later, dude.
All right. But yeah, I think especially anyone on the creative team that helped make the book possible. I mean, that's fine. That's fine to give them credit on the cover if you so wish to do so. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, I said we were going to go 15 more minutes, so I guess I will take this last person. But that's it. This is it. This is the last person of the night. Heroinberg, what's up? Are you
Hey,
there?
Ehrenberg.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, I said we were going to go 15 more minutes. God, do I really sound that way? Holy smokes.
Can you hear me?
Heroinberg, you there?
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yeah, I
Yep.
can hear you.
Pete, can you hear me?
can
Okay.
hear you.
I don't know
Yeah.
why there's no avatar. Let me see if I can fix the avatar situation here.
Okay.
It's like a
Okay.
Spinal Tap cover.
Hold on a second. I don't know why.
Poor Heroinberg.
It'll be back. They always
Alright.
come back.
Oh, there it is.
Hey,
All
Oh,
right.
we got it. Can you
Yep.
hear me?
there it
Okay.
is.
I needed to sign out for a second. And yeah, how are you guys doing, everybody? Yeah.
Doing
Great.
good.
How are you doing?
I'm great. We are in the middle of releasing issue 3, and we had 3 regional release parties: one in West Virginia, one in the North Hills of Pittsburgh, and then one in the Central Hipster Zone coming up on Saturday. So after that, the issue 3 goes worldwide, and maybe you could critique just our front cover if that would be possible. Just look at the front cover. Tell me what you think about Jason Wright's third cover. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. You've got the art to share?
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. Share screen, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this and then show you. Yeah, share screen, entire screen. Yeah, there it is. Okay, share. And then what I'm going to do is, can you see my screen now?
Not quite.
Not yet. Okay, there it is.
There it is. Now I'm going to blow
Okay.
this up, and we'll get to see the cover. This is just Jason Wright, his third cover for us. Works for DC Comics. He's currently coloring Young Justice right now,
Huh.
and it's about to show up. What the hell? Hello,
Yeah,
there it is.
There it is. Is that
No, it's
Is
just
that it
taking a
there?
second.
okay?
It's a Dell computer, so whatever, you know.
Dude, you got a Dell?
Yeah, I'll live.
Nobody remembers.
Yeah, there it
the
is. Okay. So can everyone see it clearly now?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is the cover. And yeah, you can see Jason Wright's little signature at the bottom. He just finished coloring Inglorious Rex, by the way. So apparently that's going to the printer with Shane, you know, sometime soon.
So did he color this or did he draw it? Or
He
do
did the
both?
whole thing. This is what it looks like when Jason Wright does full on art, every aspect of it. He's done it 3 times for us. Yeah. As well, yeah. So any suggestions, comments? What do you think? I don't know. This is the debut. Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Well, you talked about the last guy's cover, so yeah. I mean, just let me know what you think. This is the first cover that features the supervillains or the supervillainesses, as it were, rather than the heroines. And yeah.
So you're looking for a critique on this, or are you just looking for my opinion on it?
Both. Yeah, both.
All right. I mean, I like the background with the girl in white there. Everything else, to be honest, I don't like.
Okay. What's
I think it's too busy. I think that the scene of it is you got the one character flying off, you've got the other two at the bottom. The proportions seem a little bit off. The way that they're engaging seems a little stiff. It doesn't really match up with the beauty of the character in the background on the left. She's stunning, and I think that she's the hero of the piece. I would love to see the whole cover just be kind of her on a cityscape.
okay?
So I think it's a little busy. I think it's kind of covering up. You got a couple different tangents with the arm, the face, the other arm and hand that go into the face on the top left.
Okay.
Getting covered by the right figure into her face.
Okay.
So, you know, I think it's just there's a lot going on. And then you've got, let me see, can you zoom in a little bit on the right side? Is that a burning building?
I think it's just lights.
No, it's a building with the top part of it lit up because that's the heroin headquarters at the top of the building there. But yeah, no, it's just it's a recognizable building in Pittsburgh called the Cathedral of Learning. You can see it better now?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see it better now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the figure in flight is a little awkward. And then the placement. I think if you had the two at the bottom in more of an actual engaged fight, you had the character on the right, you had her gone completely, and you had it more of a triangular composition with the one in the background kind of between the two in the distance. Because
I see.
yeah,
Okay.
I think that would be. And
So
then
then
the
there's-
Heroinberg the
There's one
Heroinberg
too many.
logo is
There's one too many.
yeah, that's the part that's always tough when you have the hierarchy here of what's going on in terms of characters. It's difficult to make
Right.
out the order of
you
importance
want-
and the story that is
Right.
being
We
told.
I wanted to feature all 4 of the main villains who are in the 2 stories. So, but what you're saying is that the one at the top right is one too many, and that shouldn't have been included. It should have been more of a triangle.
Yeah, and kind of shift her into the middle, and you got these 2 characters. Because what is the image trying to convey here? What scene is it
it's
setting
fun.
up?
Well, it's supposed to really reflect 3 scenes in the book. One involving the bee girl who's flying, one with the fox character in the background crouching in the night, and then these two in front battling it out with powers and fists. So it's trying to reflect three different scenes in the book, yeah, at once.
Yeah, so try to pick, that's the problem sometimes with these collage style covers.
Right.
And yeah, is that you end up kind of getting lost which order of importance you need to portray. And it looks like it's kind of a really nice painterly look on the albino-ish woman, and then the other parts of it, it's a little stiff in terms of the poses and the lighting, and it's not really consistent with the lighting that's going on throughout the piece. So it kind of leaves me a little confused. Stato, what are your thoughts on this?
I'd probably take. I'm not sure what, like, say in the book, the central, whether it's the fight between the two or whatever. But I'd probably take the most. I don't know, the one that takes up the most real estate in the book. Maybe give that the what would you call it? Like the focus of the cover, and then kind of dial those dynamics up a bit to like really get the reader to trying to want to see what's going on inside. Like, whoa, they're kicking the crap out of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, have a real strong action scene on the cover if you want, and you could still have some kind of a character worked into the background in terms of, faded out a bit.
Or if you're going to do the B-girl, maybe convey some speed, or something like if she's flying, like something like an
project
exciting
a
kind of
downward angle into the fight that's going on between the two.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I think any one of those would make a great cover design or idea. But putting them all together, it's almost like a where do I start situation, I suppose, if that makes any sense. Like, you got so much happening. Any one of them would work great.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if you focused on the B girl, and the cover was on her like flying through the city or something, that would be a cool cover. If you focused on the white albino girl, what's her character name?
Fennica the Silver Fox.
Okay, the Silver Fox. If you focused on her, that would be a beautiful cover too. That would be eye-catching. If you focused on the fight that's occurring and made it a little more dynamic, that would be a great cover. But having all four elements, it really feels like they're almost like fighting for importance. And then what's with the animal paw kind of stuff? Is that part of the character design, or is that superimposed? I can't tell.
You mean
from
the animal paw logo on the character
okay.
on the bottom left?
Yeah.
That's her suit logo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's like so, it's so in high contrast that for me anyway, it's kind of popping out in almost kind of like almost distracting kind of way. But
okay.
But it almost feel like, because there's so much going on, it almost feels like it also needs like I wouldn't advise this either at this point, but I feel like I need clarification in terms of what's happening, like some kind of a blurb on the bottom to say something that's happening, or some kind of.
There actually is a blurb. However, this version doesn't have it. There are. I'm sorry, I showed you one without the two story titles. The final version actually, it's my bad. The final version has two story titles down by the girl's legs on the bottom right, which actually mentions all four the four names of the characters and two story titles. So that's taken care of. Yes.
Okay.
I'd make that anti-pop a little more too. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
a line around it, or make it a little thicker, or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
The purpose of the anti is to show that they're, of course, villains.
Oh, sure. No, I just it would it's very thin. It's, you know what I mean. Like, it kind of gets lost in the H there.
Okay.
And then you've got the red border on the Heroinberg, and then that kind of like blends in with that red for the anti. I think that's just from what I'm seeing. I could be wrong, but.
Yeah, and I would take the black stroke out of the Heroinberg, since you've got the red around it. This way you could have that white throughout, and it would be easier to read the title. The number 3 and then the year, I would reduce the size of that and put it to the lower left. of the
Okay.
of the issue,
Hmm.
and just make them white, or keep it orange or whatever that color is. But is this already printed?
Well, yeah.
Okay, I
And it's
hate doing
printing-
this. I hate
Yeah,
giving
no.
critique and
I
advice on stuff that's already
have
done.
no problem at all with this. That's why I think you should continue to do these open mics, even if it's just occasionally, because you really offer some really valuable stuff, plus it's exposure for the folks involved. And yeah, no, it's already printed. And like I said, there are titles at the bottom right. So the final version does have titles in addition to what you see here, right above
Okay.
right above Jason Wright's signature.
Yeah,
there are
the biggest problem, like bar none though, and we already mentioned it, was that it's too many
Too busy.
ideas into the into
understand.
the cover.
Yeah.
I would really just love. I love the image of the silver fox there. I would love that as just that's the cover. More centered with some kind of image of whatever's going on. The city and that, and kind of set it up, and the prowl, the silver fox on prowl, the night of the silver fox, whatever that you wanted to come up with, it would
Right.
kind of really, that would sell me on the cover.
Okay.
I think that's easily the strongest art that's on the cover here.
It's the
And
largest.
then,
Yeah, sure.
Well, not just the largest, but just even the most well done.
It's expressive.
And
yeah.
and it works with the color and the lighting of the scene that's being set up, where everything else kind of feels like it's on top of it. Like it was kind of copied and pasted and put then on top of the
Yeah,
silver
that's-
fox cover.
That's
I think
pretty much
the other-
what he did in a way. Yeah. So
The other
yeah.
thing now that I look at it is you've got like warm up front, which is pushing that up front. You've got the cool in the back, but the building itself is warm. So that's in the background, but that's pushing that forward in like a weird kind of way. Like
Yeah,
it's
the
part of
color
foreground.
theory is kind of it's fighting each other.
So if you blued out
Mhm.
that building a little tiny bit, push it into the background, I think that would not necessarily like change the gold and stuff, just like
Yeah.
add just like a slight blue tint to it, showing it's
'cause that-
consistent.
And that kind of would have been cool for the silver fox to blow her up, and then you have on one side of her a cooler effect, and on the other side of her a warmer effect that matches with that building on the right. And then you would have this almost like a Hildebrandt kind of cover going on.
That kind of reminds me.
Greg,
Yeah,
or the brothers.
yeah.
Now that he mentions it, yeah.
But there's strong elements here, and there's potential with the scene that's trying to be conveyed. But I feel like there's just too much of it. It's almost like you're making a great pasta sauce, but you also feel like you've got a great barbecue sauce, so why not put some in that pasta sauce? And you're really a fan of mustard too, so let's put some mustard in the pasta sauce.
Sounds like something I do and then regret it.
And then guacamole, who doesn't love that? Let's put some guac in that pasta sauce, and then you taste and you're like, holy, what was I thinking? And even though these things all separately are fantastic, blended together they're not working. And that's kind of how I feel artistically how this cover is coming out, because you got all these different elements that are fantastic within their own right. A couple of them need some tweaking, but then all together they're fighting each other, and it's turning into something that to me visually I did just feel like it's conflicting.
Understood. Okay.
But
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming on the show though, and best of luck with the series and with the issue, and please feel free to come back on the show whenever you'd like.
Yeah, it's cool seeing the cover.
And thank you for being a good sport about it, and please don't hate me.
Oh, not at all, Pete. And, yeah, I've just been really busy with Comic-Cons this summer. We were up your way at Terrificon, but that's
Okay.
Yeah, we were up there last month. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I didn't go to that, but I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, we did. Hung out with Billy Tucci and all those folks. Yeah.
Oh, good
Cool.
stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing the cover with us, and hope you have a great
Sure.
night, bud.
Thank
Thank
you, Pete. Thank you, guys.
All right. So that's it for the show. I saw Comics Exposed had asked about what happened with open mic. You can go back to the beginning of the show and check that out. But all it is that I feel like the open mic show wasn't doing any more what I had originally set out for it to do, which was to help creators to be more successful in their comic endeavors. Promoting is such a small facet of it when that tip of the iceberg you see at the top there is promoting, but the rest of the massive chunk of the iceberg of everything else that needs to be done to ensure that the promotion is actually effective, that stuff is just it's in great disrepair, and people need some feedback and they need to actually get some help on that. So that's why I'm doing this show now instead. I'm retiring the open mic show. And again, you can kind of find a roundabout way of promoting on here. Just even coming on here to show off your work and be like, hey, what do you think of it? You know, or I'm struggling with this. What are your thoughts? You get to not only show off your work, talk about your project, but you also get to show the chat what your attitude is like, which is very important.
Yes.
You know, so that's all that kind of stuff that you can't find out with the promotion type show. Because the promotion type shows, it turns into almost like a real watered down version of like Access Media, where no one really wants to step on each other's toes because everyone's kind of afraid, you know. But on this show, if you want feedback, if you want critique, you want advice, and you want to grow and you want to become more successful, at the very least, hopefully you can come on here and have that kind of opportunity. Whereas the promotion type shows, it's just, you know, let's just all sit around and maybe sometimes pretend that everything is just great and you don't actually need help or advice on anything, and no one benefits from that. It actually hurts people in the long run. So this, hopefully we can help some people, and it'll be a lot of fun in the process, and we'll see people grow at a more accelerated rate, if anything.
Hope so.
Yeah. So Stato, thank you so much for joining me tonight as my co-host.
Thanks for having me on.
And yeah, man, it was great having you on. And everybody, thank you guys in the chat for watching as well. Really appreciate your input too. You guys are always appreciated. Everybody have a wonderful night. JW Learning says feedback show is better. I agree. I think it'll help out people. I think it's one thing to have people come on here and kind of, you know, wade through the weeds themselves and try to find where they're going. The feedback show is more like all of us, myself included, are like, no, let's help you out. You know, we'll lead you through and we'll get you to the finish line. And I think you'll find a lot of people are going to grow a lot faster and learn from things a lot quicker than through the open mic type show. So thank you guys again for joining us tonight. See you next time around. It won't be every Wednesday night or anything like that. It'll be at least, I'm going to try my best to do at least once a week. It'll be different nights and whatnot, so stay tuned with the channel along with other different kinds of things we'll have here. But that's about it. Stato, before we go, anything that you wanted to say?
No, not really. Just covered pretty much all of it. It was a good time. And thank you, chat, for being so helpful in terms of, I'm sitting there looking over at the what they were saying, and not only was it incredibly respectful, which is always a help, but there's a lot of good advice in there too.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thank you guys in the chat. Thank you, Stato, once again, and everybody have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.